Bd19 Cycles, Story and Guidance. The Magical Council, 19 out of 32. Cycles, the guiding force of cycles. The guiding force of cycles tune into the natural cycles of life. Quote, each thing is of like form from everlasting, and comes around in its cycle. Marcus Aurelius. End of quote. Cycles story. After Kalimobanco had taken its place as the governor of Crystalia, it was me, a drop of the ocean of love, the home of Kandu, that came to venture Crystalia. As a crystal child of light, I settled down in Orania, in the lower crystal kingdom, and Kalimobanco, the governor of Crystalia, observed me with care, for he knew he needed a team that would help him to keep life in Crystalia going. As a young child playing in the gardens of the castles of garments, located in the plains of dreams, Kalimobanco gave me the name Cycles, representing the phenomena called cycles. From the time I was a child, I loved to draw round and oval cycles, and for everything I saw and experienced, I drew one. As soon as I had all the information together regarding what was happening in that cycle, I also gave it a name. Throughout the history, I kept doing the same, and with the permission of Kalimobanco, my mentor, I called all these phenomena cycles. Some of them you probably recognize: the cycle of the seasons, the water cycle, the rock cycle, the woman cycle, the cycle of life and death, biogeochemical cycles, the solar cycle, the lunar cycle, the carbon cycle, business cycles, emotional cycles, the cycle of digestion, the cycle of your heart and blood, product life cycles, and the life cycle of the monarch butterfly, the day cycle and the cycle of the night. Everybody loved me for my work, and I opened a huge art gallery in which I showed my work. This being so famous changed after a while, when we made all these cycles into a law that made these cycles more or less permanent. They would keep on occurring as long as Crystalia, the creation, would exist. It was shortly after that I saw others had lots of trouble and struggle dealing with certain cycles or parts of that cycle, especially when things became challenging. Some liked the cycles of the season, and others didn't like certain seasons and had a hard time adapting. They understood the water cycle, or the recycling cycle of nature, but some wanted to hold on to one part of that cycle or didn't want to deal with another part, especially when it had to do with death. Although my law had become a natural part of the universe and nature, many didn't like it, but it was perfect for Kalimobanco, who saw that it would keep everybody busy with that phenomena. But most of all, they would keep on coming back. That's why they are called cycles. Later in the history of Crystalia, my energy became part in the manipulation of the natural cycles of life. From disrupting the cycle of agriculture, land who didn't got any rest anymore, always having to produce, and the using of artificial growing methods. There was medicine invented to block natural cycles within the body, and when individuals started to build rivers and making land where water was before and then polluting their environment, all natural cycles got completely out of balance. A battle with nature was created, which was destroying the planet, and it would take a lot of effort to turn things around. The higher realms of the gods. Kalimobanco saw my potential at an early age, and under his guidance trained me in every aspect and offered me a place in the higher realms of the god. And I crowned myself into the god of cycles. It was great for his plan, because everybody would be busy with the cycles, either enjoying it or having a hard time dealing with it. Throughout the history of the higher realms of the gods, of the physical gods, However, I was involved in battles and wars, showing off my powers, and it was very destructive. I thought I was the most powerful god in the realm because everybody had to deal with my law of cycles. And I could make it easy or very difficult for everyone, especially when I would mess around with extreme weather or sneaking into their life with heavy emotions which they couldn't deal with. Often I did let it rain for hundreds of years and made the cycles longer than they usually were. It is difficult to not use these powers when you have them, but don't judge me, for I know you misuse your powers as well by going against many natural cycles. Just think about the day and the night cycle, in which you prolong the day with man-made lights and shorten your time to sleep and rest. What about recycling and buying products that are very difficult to be recycled? What about putting food and drinks in your body that interfere with the natural cycle of digestion, assimilation, and elimination? Do you chew your foods well? And do you drink with your meals? What about getting frustrated or even angry when the weather doesn't suit you for whatever reason? What about not letting the natural cycle of healing take its course when you're sick, but you wanting to get out of it as soon as possible and even interfere more with it with harsh medicine? Touring my personal realm, Cyclone Door. At one point in time in the history of Crystalia, with the permission of Kalimovanko, I made my second home in the realm of the Divanas, in which I could experience my energy in full. Here I had my playground, without having to battle with the other gods, but where other problems arose. As I am a creation in Crystalia, know that I am created with opposites, or with two faces, so to speak. On one hand, I can contribute to your life with my energy of the endless incredible natural cycles, but working incorrect with my energy, you can interfere with these cycles in endless ways. After I got my own realm as one of the 17 guardians of conduct, I went to the plains of dreams to one of the castles of garments, and took the body I still have today, representing my purpose, but also realized that I have several bodies, or garments. I have my base image, but to make any body more comfortable anywhere in the universe, I adapt and I can change into an image that looks more me being one of you. In the realm of the Divanas, I have my place, which is called Cyclone Door, and everything here is built on solid oval-shaped constructions, and being a world of visual circles and cycles, looking like oval roads with entire worlds on it. There are countless of these cycles, and the connection between them is through staircases, elevators, escalators, ladders, and of course, flying with one of our transportation vehicles. However, the life on any of these cycle roads has even more patterns of cycles, so everybody can observe and study the phenomena of the cycles in detail. You can come here to study these endless cycles of creation and nature, or study them on the net. Here are some more than I already mentioned before. Time and calendar cycles, planetary cycles such as astronomical, climate, weather, and geological cycles, organic cycles like agriculture cycles with the water, nitrogen, carbon, and rock cycle, biological cycles like digestion, the life and the woman's cycle, and brainwaves cycles, and so many more. Here you can see the tree, how it looks in its different stages of the cycle of the seasons, but also its entire life cycle, from being a seed to becoming a tree to the end of its life, and then becoming part of another cycle again. So when walking on the road cycle of the seasons, you can walk and experience all of them in a couple of hours. Everything here is set up to learn from and to really get the experience of the cycles. However, Like everywhere else in the universe, we have our challenges, especially with the Cyclopes, huge individuals who only have one eye in the middle. They are not only limited in their sense of seeing, but how they think and approach life as well. They constantly interfere with all the natural cycles, and we have to constantly invent different ways to deal with them. The big change. Having two main residences, in the higher realms of the physical gods and in my private realm, I was asked at one point in time by Maria Morrow to become a faculty member at the Magical University of Life at the Sacred Archives. Maria Morrow, being the principal who respected everybody and was very wise, invited us all, keymasters, keepers and guardians of the universe. And we as the keeper of conducts received the name Divanas. Under his guidance, we all had an equal position and shared the knowledge of universe and nature from our perspective with the students, and we all felt important. It was a great change. We turned back into love and stopped our wars, for we all knew that you needed all the help you can get in order to save yourself and your planet. For those amongst you who want to become more aware and who understand that I am parcel and part of you and within everything and everybody, I invite you coming on the journey and rediscovering all about me in my realm, or sit in my classroom at the university and learn about the basics of life, or even connect with me through a homeschooling system. All connections to me are incredible, an incredible experience, and the more you know, the better you can go through your life adventure. How I can help you in your life. Quote, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." Ecclesiastes 3:1. End of quote. Everything in creation is part of an ongoing cycle. Whatever goes around comes back around. I am cycles, and in Crystallia the creation I am the keeper and guide of cycles and one of the 17 guardians of conduct, also called Divanas. I represent the guiding force of cycles and am reminding you that in creation everything from the smallest to the biggest creations is part of a cycle. I assist you in living with these cycles, how you can prepare yourself, how you can go with them, and how not to interfere with them, how to enjoy them, and also warning you about the consequences of manipulating them, affecting your health and the well-being of your planet. Realize the two sides of me. Never forget that there are two sides of me and my guiding force. You either tune into and go with the natural cycles of life, or resist and manipulate them, and paying a big price for it, if you are aware of this or not. You either tune in to the natural cycles and prepare yourself and adapt to the phases they have to offer, or struggle against them. The cycles of birth and death. Everything is part of a recycling system, like water that evaporates through the heat of the sun from the ocean, and which becomes the birth of the rain cloud and dies again after the rain falls. The leaves of a tree and its fruit that fall down and dies, but which become the food for insects and their elimination that is fertilizer for the birth and life of other things in nature. It is through this recycling system that everything lives and then dies again, in order to keep the cycle of birth and death going. It is the death of one moment and the birth of the next moment, and it is about everything and everybody that comes and will go again. Everything in the world of body, mind and matter is part of this cycle and can be looked at as a great adventure full of discoveries and treasures, but in which everybody and the treasures will disappear again. Like a stage on which everybody and everything plays its role and part, but after some time the entire stage changes with different faces and different things, and the only thing that never dies are your soul and that same essence of life which is in everybody and everything. Without this, nothing could live, and without this there is no movie and no adventure. In order to have a good adventure, you must keep this in mind, otherwise you lose yourself in the things that come and go, which could be a very painful experience. So keep in mind who you really are, a crystal child of light, a child of Kandu, the Creator. And keep in mind that all is a gift that needs to be respected, for everything gives its life in order to be the birth of something new. The windmills of your mind. Your mind is like millions of windmills, spinning wheels, merry-go-rounds or circles and cycles, in which everything takes place in this phenomena called cycles. Endless thoughts are spinning around in your head, and you can play with them, but once you start playing with one, it becomes a part of a cycle, with a beginning or birth and ending, and then starts again in a new fashion. Like the thought of wanting a certain toy that possibly comes into your life. Or otherwise, that thought keeps just circling around until it gets replaced with another thought of wish. A toy with which you play and which will give its life one day, and which is then replaced with another thought or something else, maybe a bike, and later a car or a home. The windmills of your mind is like being inside a fair, which has its rides running 24 hours a day, and it is very hard to keep an overview what is going on, as so many thoughts are spinning through our head, and at times it is like a madhouse in which you cannot find a peaceful moment anymore. So become aware of your thoughts and observe them. See where they are going, but know that all of them come and go, and you cannot hold on to any of them in the long run. So learn to play well with the endless thoughts and toys of Crystallia, the creation, but do not forget who you really are, and do not forget that essence in everybody and everything. The seasons around you. Just as you learn to prepare yourself for the new season to come, and which has different adventures to offer, prepare yourself looking at your thoughts and wishes, and you will know what is coming. And throughout your life you will learn to deal better with them all. You know the enjoyment that a new bike brings to you, but also know its dangers by using it. Be aware that you will need to maintain your bike, otherwise it possibly dies too soon. And learn to do everything with this understanding. All this relates to your body, inside and outside. The clothes you wear, the foods you eat, and the things you do. They are all like seasons. The word season is also related to a certain time frame, as there is a saying, that there is a season for everything. There is a time for everything. The seasons of your life. Continuing on that there is a season for everything, realize that during the times or stages of your life that there are different things to experience. When you are very young, it is only about playing, and when you become a little older, it is as well about learning and possibly going to school, but not having your money, car or house yet. So learn to enjoy and tune into that particular season of your life and fully enjoy it. It doesn't make sense to want to be or to force things in order to be in the next stage or season of your life already. It is about accepting what life has to offer you in each stage and season and learning to deal with it, like preparing yourself for winter. Realize that the contentment in your future depends on how you went through the stages and seasons when you were younger. What you are today is part of your foundation for your future. Take advantage of the stage and season being a student, which gives you the opportunity to learn. Don't be impatient, wanting to be already in the next phase of your life. It will comes sooner than you think. Enjoy the people and friends around you in each season of your life, and they may not be there in the next. And know that you cannot hold on to any of them. Different people will come and go in your life, just as you will come and go in other people's lives. Dealing with disease. Welcome the time of seasons of sickness, telling you that things are not well, recycling and cycling in your body. Every organ has its own cycle or clock, so to speak, and it is important to learn as much about them. You also need to know how to feed and take care of them all. Otherwise, they will become sick. Take your time when you're not being well, as your body is trying to assist you to clean up and making sure that things are properly recycled. Times of sickness is mostly a cleaning cycle, and do not be so eager to do again the things that were the cause of you falling sick. The cycles of emotions. Realize that each emotion, like being happy, sad, or even angry, has its place on the wheel or cycle of emotions. Like the stars and planets around the planet Earth, constantly returning in your life. However, it is not about judging or rejecting any emotion, but seeing how you are doing while experiencing the emotion, and definitely learning not to connect them to people, places and events. For by doing so, we create additional wheels and cycles far more complicated to deal with. Feel being happy without connecting it to anything, and feel sad without connecting it. Even when you feel angry, do not connect it, because otherwise you connect them to another wheel or cycle, and it all will take much longer than you think. Most of your negative emotions are connected to past events and places and faces, and you need to let go of their connections in order to experience a different life. Food cycles. Tune into eating seasonal foods because they have a special purpose for your body at that particular time of the year. Avoid consuming foods that are artificially treated in order to speed up their natural growing process. Do not eat foods that were genetically manipulated. And watch out for foods that go too fast through your body, such as white sugar, sugar-related food items and highly processed foods, and alcohol. Watch out for foods that go too slow through your body, such as heavy meals and consuming animal protein. All of this interferes with the natural cycles and health of the organs of your body. Did you know about the cycles of food going through your body after they are consumed? Digestion, from noon to 8 p.m., which is the time to eat heavier foods. Assimilation, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., do not consume any foods. Elimination, 4 a.m. to noon, drink plenty of water, eat fruits and fruit juices that assist in the elimination. Eat with the sun cycle energy for a while. Food coming from the trees in the morning, at lunch foods from the soil up to 6 feet above, and in the evening foods that come from below the soil. Visit the local farmers market and buy seasonal foods and make better choices to assist the health of your body. Fitness and sports. Each sport and fitness training session is a cycle with 3 phases: warm-up, main workout, and cool down. By warming up with some fun activities and stretching your muscles, you prepare your body and possibly avoid injuries. After you have warmed up, the first part of the main training is about repeating things what you did before, and the second part of the main training is learning something new. After the main part is over, you need to cool down your body with certain activities, and all this completes a full cycle or circle. The learning cycle. Like warming up before sports and fitness activities, be prepared for any situation. Going to school, ask yourself if you have done your homework and if your lunch is in your bag. When going to sports activities, be prepared to have extra clothes with you and water, etc. The same as you prepare yourself for the new season to come, prepare yourself for most things you are going to do or leaving for. While you're at school or training for sports, be with it as much as you can, so you can absorb it all, which is like taking advantage of the summer and doing those activities that the summer offers. So try to be one step ahead of things to come, and this will save you from a lot of words your parents and others will have to use when you're not. By being ahead of the game, you have nobody on your back. So fold your clothes, clean up, start doing the dishes, do your homework before anybody needs to tell you, and your life will be much smoother. By doing this, you prepare yourself to become a good manager of your life and possibly ending up in management positions. Also know that certain situations are entirely your personal cycles that will come back over and over again in your life. And you may say, why that again? This is to see how you are processing and progressing in your life and what you are learning from these experiences. These happenings, which you wish they wouldn't come back, are like your mirrors on the way and to see how you're doing. Without them, you would not know your progress. Maybe when you're young, you would get upset with certain people or situations, and hopefully through your life, when these situations reoccur, you have learned to deal differently with them. Learn about other cycles, just as the cell cycle, the cycle of your heart and blood called the cardiac cycle, the water cycle, the rock cycle, biogeochemical cycles. There is so much to learn. Dealing with preserving the planet. Mankind is manipulating nature in its natural growing processes, and they do not see that there is such a big price to be paid. Everybody just keeps on wanting and taking, and all comes from nature and affects nature that needs to keep up with all these productions. Nature needs time to rest and clean just like your body, and it needs your help as well, by you being more content with what you have, and buying things that are least harmful for and to nature. Most land doesn't get a break and has to keep on producing with artificial and bad help, and the produce growing on it becomes weaker and weaker. It would be the same with your body when it just eats unhealthy food and would not get enough sleep. You have to watch out not to interfere with these natural cycles, which all have their purpose. While visiting Mother Earth, observe and look at nature, which could be better than watching a movie, as it is an ongoing story. And do not forget, it is your home for the moment, and the home for others still to come and visit it. Learn to tune into, observe, and respect the cycles. Cycles. Everything in life takes place inside a circle, cycle or wheel, and you either go against them or go with them and kneel.